Nobody likes to pay taxes, particularly what we might consider excessive taxes. Look, taxes are just a part of the world we live in. And as much as you, me, we don't want to pay more, it's just going to be a fact of life. Our government, our elected representatives, they have been totally irresponsible in the last decades. And this trend of deficit spending, spending like there's no tomorrow, spending money that we don't have, spending money that our kids and grandkids will have to pay back, that is not likely to end unless there's some kind of a total currency crisis and reset. So notwithstanding that, what do? Everybody has investments that they want to sell you that are going to save you taxes, mitigate taxes, offset taxes. And it's really easy to get hooked into thinking that way. My key phrase that I use often is don't let the tax tail wag the dog. Meaning, tax mitigation, tax offsets, tax deducts that are legit are fine and good. I mean, we should all take them for businesses, for depreciable assets, inventory, real estate, whatever it may be. Cost segregation, bonus depreciation, you know it's all out there. And I'm not saying not to use it, but understand there's always a trade-off. It's never a pure win-win. For example, in cost segregation and bonus depreciation for real estate, that is used as the moniker in a lot of syndications where I see people selling that. Oil and gas, working interest in oil and gas with some opportunities to offset active income with actual losses and depreciation in working interest in oil and gas is also a big seller. Too often I see people running for the gates, meaning running for the tax benefits without looking at the economics of the underlying asset. So that's number one. If the asset investment itself is not viable without the, quote, tax benefits, I wouldn't touch it. Opportunity zones, another big one where a lot of people have gotten their money sucked away into these, quote, opportunity zones that have been set up by the government to try to infuse capital into economically depressed areas. And many operators, again, use that moniker to suck money in, and who knows whether or not the potential project that they're putting their money into has any relevance or not. If it's sold to you on a tax benefit, just be aware. Conservation easements, another big one. There are companies that actually specialize in will save you taxes, and they come up with all these, I'm just going to call them schemes. They'll work until they don't. And when do you know they don't work? It's not because they have some letter authorization from the IRS or they've got XYZ attorneys that have looked this over and they can say by the letter of the law this is going to work. And none of that matters. When you're actually in front of the IRS auditor, that's the day you know whether or not your tax strategy really is going to hold up. And that's not a fight you probably want to take. I've seen too many people fight on principle. Well, I know this is right. They're just after my money and I'm going to fight this thing. Well, be prepared to write a big check and not to have a decision made in a short period of time. In other words, if you decide to fight the government, the IRS, which again, I'm not saying don't do it under the right scenario, but just realize that when you go against the government, you better have a lot of capital. You got to be able to handle a lot of stress, and these things can take years. So just understand, in my mind, I'd rather have peace of mind. I'd rather know that I've paid taxes and not push the envelope. There's a gray area, and you get to decide with your CPA, your tax advisor, how far you want to go in the gray area. You choose. Do I go into the gray area? Yeah, but not on big items, not on things that are going to come back and bite me, not on large potential tax liabilities that can come back and get hit for penalty and interest. And that can be huge, particularly as I see business owners, professional practice owners, at the end of their career path, selling that business equity, harvesting that equity, but doggone it, once again, I don't want to pay the taxes. So there's companies out there that claim to be able to offset capital gain tax treatment, and they do it in ways that, well, let me just put it this way, I wouldn't put my money there. It's not worth it. They're not going to be the ones that are on the tax hook for the penalties and liabilities that come down when the day you get audited. And remember, the government has 87,000 new IRS agents out there in force that are looking to pull out more money. This is not a time to be overzealous. Just make your investments and your businesses run well, be profitable, pay the darn tax, because then that money, tax-paid money, is yours to use. Whether you reinvest it or you use it to live your lifestyle. But if you always have to keep in the back of your mind, I took that tax deal on the investment or the sale of my business, last year, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, you always want that hanging over your head. Is that going to make you feel good? I want to be done. It comes back to how much do you really need, right? And that's what a lot of people don't know. It's like, how much do I need? And you've never learned to make your assets really work for you, then it does become a perplexing phenomenon, or conundrum, I should say, is how can I just keep more of my money? Well, if I can play games with the IRS and get by, then maybe I'll be okay. That to me is not a winning formula. Find investments, businesses that allow you to navigate your capital going forward where it makes sense, and just pay the darn tax as you go. Tax rates are only going to go up, so when you defer taxes by all the cost segregation, bonus depreciation, everything else that is available out there, you are not saving tax, you're deferring it. Deferring it to another day when I can almost bet you the tax rates are going to be higher. Yeah, probably much higher. Do you want to be there? Why not pay the tax today? Be done with it. Make that money work for you on a basis where you have no strings tied to it at all, and you can just go forward with your life and feel like, I don't have stress anymore. Do you know how to do that? It takes a little bit of work. It takes a little bit of knowledge. It takes being around, I think, the right people that can show you how this actually can work in your favor.